This might be the missing chapter of human history we were never meant to read.
This is probably one of the greatest cities in the world.
For decades, Graham Hancock has challenged the mainstream, suggesting that ancient civilizations were far older.
It's my job to offer an alternative point of view. Perhaps there's been a forgotten episode in human history, but perhaps the extremely defensive, arrogant, and patronizing attitude of mainstream academia is stopping us from considering that possibility.
Far wiser and far more connected than we've been taught.
It's considered to be the earliest high culture of Central America. Everybody's heard about the Aztecs. Everybody's heard about the Maya.
Now, buried deep beneath jungles and deserts, archaeologists are unearthing evidence that could finally prove him right.
You have been at the front of the line for decades, and you exposed me to a lot of these controversial ideas that have now been substantiated.
A sealed Mayan tomb untouched for 1,700 years.
The most astonishing piece of information came from this band at the bottom, which has an entire king list for the site up until the year 600.
A tunnel near Alexandria that whispers Cleopatra's name, sacred chambers that defy our understanding of time.
It's an entrance. We can see an entrance. It's so exciting. I need to see what is in there. It has been hidden for 2,000 years.
Could we be standing on the edge of a massive rewrite of history? Let's dive in. The tomb that time forgot, deep in the jungles of Guatemala. In 2022, something extraordinary happened in the thick, humid forests of Chactun, Guatemala. Archaeologist Francisco Estrada Belli and his team weren't chasing legends or myths. They were following data, specifically LiDAR scans that revealed ancient Maya structures buried under dense jungle canopies.
It wasn't flat. There was a rise on the plaster. And I thought, well, maybe this is a snake carved on the front of the building, or maybe a mustache on a mask.
Just 6 feet from where earlier excavations had ended in failure, the team struck gold. Or rather, they struck history. They had found an untouched tomb. Not just any tomb, but one belonging to a powerful Maya king or priest named Wari. Sealed for over 1,700 years, it offered a direct portal into the classic Maya era around 350 CE.
What we see in the center is the portrait of a Maya king. In Maya belief, kings, when they die, after a while they're reborn as sun gods. And that's exactly what we see here.
The air inside hadn't been disturbed for centuries, and what lay within was unlike anything seen before. There was a jade mosaic mask, glinting with sacred symbolism, 16 spiny oyster shells, high-status luxury items that once symbolized elite power. Human femur bones were carved with such precision that they almost told their own story. One of them even bore the profile of King Wari himself, holding a jade mask like the one resting beside him. But it wasn't just the artifacts. It was the hieroglyphs, the ancient text carved into bone and stone, speaking of lineage, royal rituals, and ties to great Maya cities like Tikal and Teotihuacan. This tomb wasn't just a burial chamber. It was a message left for the future, from a civilization still shrouded in mystery. Estrada Belli compared the find to hitting the archaeological lottery, and he wasn't wrong.
The burial could be the most important we have found yet, because it's in the main location at the site. It's at the very top of the biggest pyramid. So this could be one of the kings we've been looking for. One of the kings that are listed in the Holmul frieze inscription.
This one discovery could reshape everything we know about Maya politics, religion, and power. It wasn't luck. It was technology, persistence, and intuition coming together in a moment that made time itself feel thin. And this was only the beginning. The Silver Pharaoh, Egypt's forgotten king, shines again. Egypt has never been short on treasures, but in 1939, something surfaced that still catches even the most seasoned archaeologists off guard. In the ancient city of Tanis, tucked deep within the Nile Delta, French archaeologist Pierre Montet made a find so dazzling that it nearly rivaled Tutankhamun's. It began with a blocked underground chamber, unremarkable at first glance. But what Montet's team uncovered inside was anything but ordinary. They had stumbled upon the untouched tomb of Pharaoh Susenis I, a ruler from Egypt's 21st dynasty who reigned over 3,000 years ago. His name wasn't as famous as Ramses or Akhenaten, but his burial would change that forever. The chamber gleamed with treasures, golden necklaces, delicate rings, silver bracelets. But one object stole the spotlight, a coffin crafted entirely from solid silver. In ancient Egypt, silver was rarer and more valued than gold. It had to be imported, making this coffin not just a status symbol, but a statement of absolute power. Inside lay the pharaoh himself, his face covered with a golden mask, inlaid with lapis lazuli and colored glass. He stared out with a calm, timeless gaze, preserved perfectly by the dry tomb air. Unlike other tombs that had been ravaged by grave robbers, this one had remained sealed and untouched.
Montet said the tomb was filled with marvels worthy of the 1001 Nights, and indeed it was, because on the floor of the tomb right here, there were hundreds of figurines, there were gemstones, precious metals.
This discovery offered something more than sparkling riches. It opened a window into Egypt's third intermediate period, a time often ignored, banned rushed aside in favor of more glorious eras. Yet here was proof that even during the supposed decline, Egypt still buried its kings with reverence and splendor. Today, many of these treasures are displayed in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, and when you stand before that silver coffin, it's impossible not to feel the chill of a moment perfectly frozen in time. The Priest of Sakara, a tomb that spoke without words. It was December 2018, and the desert winds around Sakara were carrying more than just sand. A team led by renowned Egyptian archaeologist Mostafa Waziri was excavating a quiet patch near the step pyramid of Djoser when they stumbled upon something utterly untouched for 4,400 years. Not looted, not broken, just waiting. The tomb belonged to a high-ranking priest named Wati, who lived during the reign of Pharaoh Nefertari of the 5th dynasty. Measuring 33 feet long and 10 feet wide, the burial site was sealed tight and incredibly well preserved. But what made it truly remarkable was what lived on its walls: vibrant colors, stunning reliefs, a cascade of daily scenes frozen in limestone. Wati was shown sitting with his wife, talking with his children, offering to the gods, and overseeing rituals. These weren't stiff royal poses, they were moments from a lived life. His mother, Merit Min, and wife, Weret Ptah, appeared beside him like echoes from a time when family, not just status, defined a man. 5 shafts were found inside the tomb. One was open and empty, but the other 4 sealed, untouched. A time capsule beneath the desert floor. Archaeologists were hopeful that Wati's sarcophagus or other rare treasures might still lie hidden within. But even without gold or jewels, this tomb offered something far more intimate. A full visual diary of an ancient Egyptian's personal and spiritual world. From craftsmen at work to boats gliding down the Nile, the artwork told a story of devotion, order, and legacy. Waziri called it one of the most important discoveries in decades, not because of treasure, but because of truth. Wati's tomb wasn't just a burial site. It was a voice, still speaking across 44 centuries with the clarity of color and the silence of stone. The Lord of Sipan, Peru's warrior king, rises again. In 1987, a quiet town in northern Peru, Sipan, suddenly became the epicenter of global archaeology. It began not with scientists, but with looters. Grave robbers had stumbled upon ancient treasures, sparking chaos and drawing the attention of Dr. Walter Alva, an archaeologist with a sense that something bigger lay beneath the surface. What followed was a discovery so rich, so untouched, that it would be compared to the tomb of Tutankhamun. Buried beneath layers of dirt and stone was the Lord of Sipan, a Moshe ruler from nearly 1,700 years ago. His body, adorned in gold and silver, rested among over 600 artifacts, each one a symbol of status, ritual, and power. Golden necklaces shaped like peanuts, elaborate ear spools, a headdress, and intricate ceramics told a story of a ruler who was more than a man. He was a bridge between the divine and the living. But the tomb revealed something else too: the people who went with him. Alongside the Lord were 3 young women, a child, 2 warriors, and a man in a niche above, likely a guard. Their presence wasn't decorative, it was ceremonial. They were placed there to serve him in the afterlife. A chilling but powerful reminder of how deeply the Moche tied death to divine duty. In the years that followed, more tombs emerged nearby: priests, other lords, perhaps family members. A once forgotten site was now a royal necropolis. And today, at the Royal Tombs of Sipan Museum, the legacy of a ruler once buried in silence now speaks louder than ever. Cleopatra's tunnel, chasing a queen's final secret. For over 2,000 years, the final resting place of Cleopatra VII has remained one of history's most elusive mysteries. While her name is known around the world, her tomb has never been found. But in 2005, Dominican archaeologist Kathleen Martinez set out to change that. Unlike earlier expeditions, Martinez approached the search with a different lens. She believed Cleopatra, as a devout follower of the goddess Isis, would have chosen to be buried not in a lavish palace, but in a sacred temple dedicated to the deity she revered. That theory led her to Taposiris Magna, located 25 miles west of Alexandria, a crumbling temple complex once central to Isis worship. What began as a hopeful excavation quickly turned into something much more. Her team unearthed coins with Cleopatra's face, statues of royalty, and sacred artifacts that hinted at high-status burials. But the most captivating find came in 2022, a massive underground tunnel, over 1,300 meters long and buried 13 meters beneath the surface. The tunnel was hailed as a geometric miracle, perfectly constructed and leading somewhere unknown. They also discovered 16 burial chambers, human remains, and statues of Isis, suggesting this site may have once held the tomb of someone immensely powerful. Maybe even Cleopatra herself. Though the queen's body remains missing, the trail grows warmer with every dig. Martinez refuses to give up. To her, it's not just a search, it's a promise to uncover the truth. If Cleopatra is there, she won't be hidden forever. Not from those still listening.
Now first, like always, be sure to hit the like button down below. It helps us out tremendously with the reach of this video. Thank you.
The Terracotta Army, China's silent legion, awakens. In 1974, a group of farmers digging a well near Xi'an in central China made a discovery that would shake the world. What they thought were fragments of clay turned out to be part of something far greater. An army frozen in time, built not for war, but for eternity. Buried beneath the earth lay thousands of life-sized terracotta soldiers, arranged in perfect military formations. Each figure had distinct facial features, hairstyles, and armor. No two were alike. This was the Terracotta Army, created over 2,200 years ago to guard the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. The scale was staggering. In the main pit alone, over 6,000 warriors stood ready, accompanied by chariots, horses, and weapons of war. Additional pits revealed more ranks, generals, acrobats, and even musicians, hinting at a complete world meant to follow the emperor into the afterlife. But the tomb itself remains largely untouched. Historical records warn of deadly traps and rivers of mercury surrounding the burial chamber, details so unsettling that modern archaeologists have chosen to wait, leaving the heart of the complex sealed for now. What has been unearthed, though, is already beyond imagination. The craftsmanship, the precision, and the sheer ambition of the project show the reach and power of an emperor determined to conquer even death. The Terracotta Army isn't just a monument to the past, it's a challenge to the present. A reminder that some rulers didn't just want to be remembered. They wanted to live forever. And in a way, through these silent warriors, they did. Siberia's frozen tomb, secrets preserved in ice. In one of the coldest, most remote corners of the world, history waited, perfectly preserved beneath layers of permafrost. In 2018, archaeologist Gino Caspari from the University of Bern spotted something strange on satellite imagery in Siberia's Tuva Republic. It was a near-perfect circular shape, hidden in the Uk River Valley. That shape turned out to be a Scythian burial mound, one of the oldest and largest ever found. Known as Arzan Zero, or the Tunug burial site, this kurgan measured nearly 140 meters in diameter and dated back to around 800 BCE. It belonged to the Scythians, a fierce nomadic warrior culture that once roamed the vast Eurasian steppe. But what made this site special wasn't just its size. It was untouched. No looters, no ancient destruction, just a sealed tomb wrapped in ice and mystery. Reaching the site wasn't easy. The landscape was swampy and isolated, and the permafrost made excavations slow. But that same frozen soil preserved what time usually destroys. Wooden structures, bronze arrowheads, tools, and even textiles emerged in remarkable condition. Fragments of a culture known more through legend than artifact. Unlike other Scythian tombs ravaged by grave robbers, Tunug offered something rare, a complete picture of early Scythian burial customs and daily life. The burial mound was not just a grave, it was a statement of identity, power, and belief. In a place where the ground never fully thaws, the past remains perfectly intact. This frozen tomb gave voice to a civilization that had long slipped into silence, proving once again that even in the harshest landscapes, history remembers. All it needs is someone willing to listen beneath the ice. The Thracian King's Tomb, Bulgaria's royal secret unearthed. In August 2004, deep in the heart of Bulgaria's so-called Valley of the Thracian Kings, archaeologist Georgi Kitov and his team were drawn to a massive mound known as Golyama Kosmatka. The Thracians, an ancient warrior people, left behind few written records, but their tombs, hidden under centuries of earth, told their stories in gold and stone. At first, Kitov's team uncovered a gleaming gold mask, solid, heavy, and stunning, believed to represent a Thracian ruler from the 5th century BCE. But the real revelation came days later, when a marble door was unearthed, leading to a massive underground chamber sealed for over 2 millennia. Inside, the burial complex was fit for a king. There were golden wreaths, a lavish wine cup, bronze greaves, and an ornate helmet. But one object stood out, a life-sized bronze head with eyes made of alabaster and glass paste. Its lifelike gaze, still sharp after thousands of years, seemed to watch over the tomb like a silent sentinel. Many scholars believe the tomb belonged to Sooths III, a powerful Thracian king known for his defiance of Alexander the Great. The richness of the grave goods, the royal insignia, and the strategic location all point to a burial meant to honor someone of immense importance. Unlike Egypt or China, Thracian history remains largely in the shadows. But this tomb was a spotlight. It offered a rare and intimate look into a lost kingdom of warriors, kings, and artisans whose legacy still whispers from beneath Bulgaria's soil. The Wari Queen's Tomb. Power buried beneath Peru's dust. In 2013, archaeologists made a discovery in northern Peru that no one saw coming, not even the looters who had once used the site as a dumping ground. At a place called El Castillo de Huarmey, about 300 kilometers north of Lima, the dirt held a secret it had been guarding for over 1,200 years, and it belonged to a queen. Polish archaeologist Miloš Giersch and Peruvian expert Roberto Pimentel Nita led the excavation, supported by aerial surveys and geophysical imaging. What they uncovered was an untouched tomb, the first royal burial from the Wari civilization ever found. This was no modest grave. It was a multi-chambered complex sealed with stones, built beneath a ceremonial platform, and protected by layers of rubble that had somehow kept looters away. Inside, the team found over 1,000 artifacts: gold jewelry, silver bowls, fine textiles, ceremonial axes, and pottery. But the most striking discovery was the burial of 3 elite women, including one believed to be a Wari queen. Their bodies were adorned with precious metals and surrounded by offerings fit for rulers. The presence of other women, likely attendants or sacrifices, hinted at the queen's status and power. It wasn't just a burial, it was a statement, a declaration of authority, wealth, and divine connection. This tomb shattered assumptions about gender and leadership in ancient Peru. The Wari weren't just ruled by kings. Here lay a queen, her voice silent, but her legacy gleaming in gold, waiting to be heard again after centuries of silence. Tutankhamun's tomb, the boy king who changed everything. In 1922, the sands of Egypt gave up one of their greatest secrets. British archaeologist Howard Carter, backed by the wealthy and determined Lord Carnarvon, had been searching the Valley of the Kings for years. Most believed it was picked clean. Carter didn't. On November 4th, his team uncovered a staircase buried beneath rubble. It led to a sealed doorway marked with royal cartouches. When Lord Carnarvon arrived weeks later, Carter made a small hole in the door, held up a candle, and looked inside. "Can you see anything?" Carnarvon asked. Carter's reply became legend. Yes, wonderful things, and wonderful they were. Tutankhamun's tomb, though modest compared to others, was almost completely intact. Thousands of artifacts lay within: chariots, golden statues, board games, perfumes, and ceremonial items. But the true centerpiece came in the burial chamber. Inside nested coffins, the innermost, made of solid gold, rested the mummified body of the boy king. His face was covered by a gold funerary mask that has since become a global icon of ancient Egypt. Tutankhamun died young and ruled for only a short time. Yet his tomb told the most complete story of royal life, death, and belief in the afterlife. Unlike other pharaohs whose graves had been robbed, he remained largely undisturbed for over 3,000 years. The discovery captivated the world, sparked a renewed passion for Egyptology, and reshaped our understanding of ancient Egyptian art, culture, and burial practices. The boy king had spoken, and the world listened. This isn't just about gold masks or ancient bones. It's about voices echoing from beneath centuries of silence. Each tomb, each artifact, is a fragment of forgotten stories, of kings, queens, warriors, and priests who once shaped their worlds. From the jungles of Guatemala to the sands of Egypt, from frozen Siberia to hidden tunnels near Alexandria, we're still uncovering what history tried to bury. And with every dig, every discovery, we step closer to truths that challenge everything we thought we knew. Because the past isn't dead. It's only sleeping, waiting for someone to listen. Until then, keep digging.